Donald Trump and his allies and supporters are a clear and present danger to American democracy. That's not because of what happened on January 6th. It's because to this very day, the former president, his allies and supporters pledge that in the presidential election of 2024, if the former president or his anointed successor as the Republican Party presidential candidate were to lose that election, that they would attempt to overturn that 2024 election in the same way that they attempted to overturn the 2020 election, but succeed in 2024 where they failed in 2020. I don't speak those words lightly. I would have never spoken those words ever in my life, except that that's what the former president and his allies are telling us.
Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Welcome to day 513. Donald Trump was told that his plan to overturn the 2020 election was illegal, but pressured Mike Pence to go along with it anyway. This according to testimony from the January 6th committee's third hearing. Conservative lawyer John Eastman, the architect of the plan for Mike Pence to use his authority to unilaterally reject the Electoral College results and therefore overturn the 2020 election, admitted in front of Trump 2 days before the Capitol riot that his scheme was illegal and that he would lose at the Supreme Court, quote, 9-0, end quote. Even after the attack on the Capitol, Eastman continued to push for overturning the election. According to Mike Pence lawyer Greg Jacob, Pence's initial reaction to the scheme for him to stop the process of transferring presidential power was that there was no way this was justifiable. Shortly after the Capitol riot, John Eastman asked Rudy Giuliani if he could get on Trump's pardon list, despite pushing a plan to overturn the 2020 election that he knew was illegal. Quote, "I've decided that I should be on the pardon list, if that is still in the works," Eastman wrote to Giuliani in an email. While Trump did issue 143 pardons and commutations on his last night as president, Eastman did not receive one. Meanwhile, White House lawyer Eric Hirschman testified that Eastman continued to press his scheme after the Capitol riot.
He called me, he texted me or called me, wanted to talk with me, and he said he couldn't reach others. And he started to ask me about something dealing with Georgia and preserving something potentially for appeal. And I said to him, "Are you out of your effing mind?" Right? I said, I only want to hear two words coming out of your mouth from now on. Orderly transition. And I screamed, I said, I don't want to hear any other effing words coming out of your mouth, no matter what, other than orderly transition. Repeat those words to me. And I screamed, eventually he said, orderly transition. I said, good, John. Now I'm going to give you the best free legal advice you're ever getting in your life. Get a great effing criminal defense lawyer. You're going to need it. And then I hung up on him.
Eastman also claimed to have insight into a heated fight among the Supreme Court justices over whether to hear arguments about Trump's efforts to overturn the election. Eastman, who once clerked for Justice Clarence Thomas, sent an email on December 24, 2020, saying, quote, "The odds are not based on the legal merits, but an assessment of the justices' spines. For those willing to do their duty, we should help them by giving them a Wisconsin cert petition to add into the mix," end quote. Kenneth Chesebro, a lawyer advising the Trump campaign, replied that the prospect of wild chaos on January 6th could lead the Supreme Court to take up the case before Congress certified the electoral vote count. 5 days earlier, December 19th, Trump issued a call for his supporters to attend a January 6th protest in Washington by tweeting, "Be there, we'll be wild." The January 6th committee has also obtained emails between Virginia Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and John Eastman. The committee says it plans to invite Thomas to testify about the emails and her involvement in Trump's attempts to overturn the election. Thomas responded, quote, "I can't wait to clear up misconceptions. I look forward to talking to them," end quote. Meanwhile, the Justice Department is reportedly pursuing a criminal investigation into the formation of alternate slates of pro-Trump electors seeking to overturn Biden's victory. A federal grand jury issued subpoenas earlier this year to several pro-Trump lawyers who were working on the effort, including Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, and Kenneth Chesebro. Moving on, Biden signed an executive order aimed at combating, quote, "discriminatory legislative attacks," end quote, against the LGBTQ+ community by Republican-controlled states. The order seeks to discourage federal funding for conversion therapy, while also directing the federal health and education agencies to expand access to gender-affirming care and to advance inclusive learning environments for LGBTQ+ children. The order is meant to counter the more than 300 anti-LGBTQ+ laws that were introduced by state lawmakers over the last year. And finally, there is a 72% chance that the Federal Reserve's attempts to address inflation will trigger a recession by 2024. In February, economic models predicted a 0% chance of a recession. A day after the Fed raised interest rates 75 basis points, the largest rate hike in almost 3 decades, the Dow ended down 2.4%, the S&P 500 fell by more than 3%, and the Nasdaq dropped by more than 4%. Strategists said the S&P 500's decline imply there's an 85% chance of a U.S. recession, while European equities imply there's an 80% chance of a recession. The average rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage in the United States, meanwhile, jumped to 5.78%, the fastest pace since 1987. A year ago, the average rate was less than 2.93%. And in the polls, Newsweek says 54% of Americans support the idea of the Justice Department indicting Donald Trump over the Capitol riot, compared to 37% who oppose the idea. 71% of Republicans, however, oppose the DOJ filing criminal charges against Trump. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.